All right, guys. So in this training, I'm going to show you guys how to create what's called a single image ad. And we're going to be on the last level. So we've talked about campaigns and ad sets and all that good stuff. So we've already chosen the campaign in this objective. For this one, we're going to be basically using lead generation. Excuse me, because that's what this is about, right? We want to generate some leads. So for most of these ad set trainings I'm going to talk about is going to be a lead generation objective. So I left the ad set blank just an example. So we're basically, the premise behind this training is you already know what that objective is going to be. We've already chosen our audience, and now we're in the ad creation phase. So you can see we've already picked the Facebook page that we're using, which in this case would be Sakis Group, just as an example. And you can see there's 4 different types of ads, or what they call format, to use. So in this instance, we're going to use the single image. Now, the reason I wanted to go over this is because this is probably one that you're going to use a lot to begin with. It's pretty simple. It's fairly easy. It's the one that you'll probably see the most inside your newsfeed of people using. So just to kind of get an idea of how to use this, obviously we would just click single image. And then inside this image section, we have browse our library, which will be pulling basically photos that we've already uploaded, or they actually have a stock image where you can take some photos from there. I would, as an asterisk, or just so you guys know, I would shy away from too many stock photos if you can. It's one of those things where, customers and people are more savvy now that they've seen ads consistently for a couple of years on Facebook at a pretty high level. Consumers pretty much know what stock looks like. So in some instances, you can't help it if you're advertising specific things. But for us, since most of what we're advertising is houses, I would shy away from these stock images at all possible. So, upload your own or have some, pre-done. So that being said, I want to show you guys one instance, one type of ad that I use a lot. And even though this is a single image ad up here, and you can see when I actually open this up that there's multiple images inside here. And this is something that I see a much higher conversion rate besides just having a single image. So this is a property. This was one of our listings. And this is actually 4 photos total. You see 3 photos down here and 1 at the top. This format is very eye-catching. And the cool thing about this format too is a lot of times when people are scrolling through their news feed, they see multiple images. They instinctively click the picture because they think there's more photos. And what we can do is we can embed this picture with the link. So as soon as they click that link, they're going to go to the desired location, which in this case is going to be the lead form. So that's pretty cool. And I want to show you guys real quick. If you haven't already seen the software demo of Canva, that's what I use for the most part. It's inside the Real Estate Marketing Rockstars software tools. So just to give you an example, this is like an image. This isn't the same image, but this is the format, and it's actually in here as a template inside Canva. So if you wanted to just go ahead and create a new image, you can go to Facebook ad 1200 by 628, and we would go over to, let's see, is it under layouts? Yeah. So it's under elements, and you go to grids, and then you can see all these different grids that they have set up. And I believe it would be this one right here. So that's the format. It's already there for you. And then all you would do is take the pictures. And you can see we already have them in here. So I drop that there. And maybe I would, make that bigger or smaller and just adjust it. But for right now, I'm just going to kind of throw them in here so you guys can see. And even if I use the same photo, doesn't necessarily matter. But just so you can kind of get an idea of how easy it is to drag and drop. So this is a perfect example. Like you see this photo, and it's much more eye-catching. I always talk about the stopping power of Facebook and what you can use your images to have that stopping power, and this multiple image platform is much better for a single image. So if you could take that extra time and come into Canva and actually put this in this layout format, you'll have better click-through rates and get more people to sign up. So hopefully that's a little ninja trick for you guys. The other trick for you too, and this is kind of cool. So with a single image, you can actually add 6 different images within the ad. So let's say you wanted to do some testing and you wanted to have, you weren't really sure. Let's say you wanted to have one different ad talk about multiple things. So maybe it wasn't one property. Maybe you were trying to highlight different aspects of a home and trying to see what consumers in that marketplace would be more likely to click on. So maybe a picture of a pool versus a kitchen versus a nice backyard, nice landscaping, what have you. You can actually add up to 6 photos, and you can see how they just keep adding more photos in here. And by having these multiple photos, what will end up happening is when your ad gets served, it'll actually get served with these multiple photos. So it won't be the same ad every single time. And then you can go back and see which ad is performing the best after a couple days, and then take that ad, duplicate it, and then throw more money at it. And then that's how you usually get a winning ad to, basically talking to the right people. So that's a really cool trick. And also too, let's say you just wanted to have one ad. And as an example, where we've talked about audiences before, if you haven't already seen the audience trading, go ahead and check that out. But let's say you didn't have time, or you're doing this, obviously you want to learn about Facebook, but you don't want to spend every single day inside Facebook. So let's say you wanted to have one single campaign per month that you could set up in the beginning of the month and not necessarily have to touch again until next month. And you could have this set up to where one campaign, one objective, one ad would run the entire month. And let's say you could target that campaign to either people that are in your database or sphere, or maybe people that have hit your website and bounced off. And the cool thing about that is because you can add 6 different images, it makes it feel like 6 different ads. So you don't get that same ad fatigue where if you just ran this specific ad for 4 weeks in a row to the same group, same audience, you would see after 10 to 15 days, your click-through rate would drop, everything would drop, people would not be interested because, oh yeah, I've seen that before. But by adding multiple photos, that's a super easy way to keep the ad fresh. And that way you can basically set it and forget it for the month and maybe use it more as a branding than that, let's say, a true lead generation. But that's just a kind of a little tip that you could probably use if that's something that you guys are, looking for. So we got the basic ad here. We got the text. One thing I like to do in the actual text itself is call out attention to whoever I'm talking to. So another trick that I use too, I don't use these too much, but if you go to emojipedia.org, this is how you can get emojis basically from your desktop. So you don't have, it looks like, obviously you have emojis on your phone, but not everybody has emojis on your desktop. I'm Windows based. I don't know about Apple, but this is how I get emojis. So I would just look for home. If I can spell, that'd be great. All right. So here's my nice picture of a house. And this is just standard, basically showing you guys pretty much what I do on a normal basis. So I'd have a picture of a house, and then I might say something like, attention. In this case, this house was in Tampa, specifically in South Tampa. Attention to South Tampa buyers. Nothing crazy, short and sweet. We're on our mobile news feed. We see that this is a complete one sentence, right? So I have the picture of the house, which anybody in South Tampa would recognize. This type of house is very similar to other types of houses in South Tampa, so this would make sense to them. Then they see the first line of attention South Tampa buyers. They know exactly that they're in the right spot, right? So I might do a double space, which you guys remember, white space is okay inside advertising. So you want to have a little bit of space in there. And then I might say something like, check out this beautiful new home for sale, just 2 blocks away from. Now, Bayshore Boulevard is a iconic type of area in South Tampa, so this kind of just gives them a little teaser, right? Check out this beautiful new home for sale, just 2 blocks away. I might not put just because that's 2 blocks for, 2 blocks away from Bayshore Boulevard. So short, sweet, attention grabbing, makes sense to the audience that I'm talking to. And then I would have just a very simple link. Click here for, and usually what I'll put is like pics or address, because obviously when we're not telling the people the address or anything like that. And then I would put a short Bitly link. So if you guys don't know, if you don't use Bitly, it's bitly.com. This is what's called a URL shortener. So let's say I was going to use sakisgroup.com. Let's say that was my ending URL, but I didn't want that long URL in there. I would go to Bitly. I would paste it inside Bitly, and it would give me this tiny little Bitly link. And then I would copy that, go back to the ad, and there you go. So as you can see, I'll put a little space there. This is a pretty normal ad that I would run. So single image, even though it's a single image ad, I have multiple photos in here calling out to the people that I'm actually talking to. Check out this home for sale, some verbiage that they would recognize, Bayshore Boulevard, what have you, and then a very simple instruction. Click here for more info. It doesn't get much more simple than that, right? So a lot of times too, what I'll do is this text up here, attention South Tampa, I'll put the same thing in the headline at the bottom for South Tampa, because we want some congruency. We want similarities with the ad. Or if I don't put attention South Tampa, I might put South Tampa just listed, or South Tampa exclusive, something to keep the same text on the top and the bottom. The last thing you want to do is have attention South Tampa up here and then something completely different down here, because we're reading this and then right before we hit this sign up button, this is the last thing that we see. So it's got to be congruent with everything that's up here. So don't think that you have to be like this ninja. I mean, copy matters, but at the same time, I completely taken the verbiage from up here and put it down here, and it works. So we need congruency. That's probably the number one thing that I see with ads that people try to overthink or overcomplicate, is having different things, like making things look a little bit more fancy than they should be. But following this format where we want consistency in every form and fashion. We want the landing page that they land on to be consistent with this ad, the verbiage to be consistent, the pictures to be consistent. That's what takes you from an ad that doesn't necessarily work too well to a really good ad with really good click-through rates. So hopefully that makes sense. On this call to action, this is kind of going to be the last thing for this. You see you have a couple different options: apply now, download. 99.9% of the time, put learn more. It's not evasive. It doesn't make people think that they're signing up for something immediately. When you hit sign up, they automatically know, right? You hit subscribe, apply now, automatically they're going to bounce. So yes, and in a way, if you put sign up and somebody clicks through that, they're going to be a higher quality lead, but you're going to get much less of them to filter through. So just keep that in mind. I 99% of the time use learn more. That's one little trick. Okay. So we know that this looks good on mobile, and we can check this out, what it looks like on desktop. Still beautiful, right? 3 sentences, nothing too much up here. Very distinct call call to action here, call to action here, and very, very simple. So this one would be attached to a lead form. This would be an example. So the lead form would, and this is why lead forms work so well, because it pulls the same image. When I talk about consistency, the same image from the ad. And then I ask a couple generic questions in lead form, help us learn more about you by answering these quick questions. How soon are you looking to move? Do you have a home to sell before you can buy? And do you prefer to be contacted via phone or email? I really like this one because this last question, do you prefer to be contacted via phone or email? When you give the customer an opportunity to say, only contact me through email, they're more likely to give you your phone number, right? At that point, we didn't ask them if we can text, but people always respond to text. So that's kind of my sneaky way of getting a phone number that I can text and then get a conversation going through text, which is non-evasive, and then get them on the phone and actually set an appointment. So that's another little ninja trick for you guys. So hopefully this is pretty easy. Single image ad, probably honestly 70% of the ads that I run are single image. So this is very, very powerful, very, very simple, and something you guys can do just when you're getting ready, getting your feet wet. And hopefully this helps. So catch you guys on the next training. See ya.